Well, what can I say about last night's game? I can definitely tell you what I can say about last night's game. It was horrible. It was flat out horrendous. And yes, I'm talking about the officiating. The officiating was horrible, as it has been in the last couple of weeks. Is it because it's a New York team? I don't know. It's definitely been horribly one-sided. And of course, you know, Giants fans are going to be like, oh no, what about this horrible call that didn't go our way? No. There have been so many bad non-calls that have went against the Commanders. And of course, bad calls in general that have went against the Commanders playing against the Giants. I mean, it is almost way too obvious. But besides the poor officiating, the poor offensive output by this team, with all the talent that we have on offense. Now, I understand our offensive line has been in shambles. We have had to rotate and shift people around because of injuries, and I get that. And I, for one, have been one to say that when your offensive line is not at its very best, it is going to affect your offensive output, and that is the fact. But the case in point, it played well enough that this team should be able to put up more points than what it has been putting up. This team keeps making mistakes and keeps leaving points out there on the field that they could easily be scoring, and they don't. Now, a lot of that's on the players, a lot of that's on the coaching, and most certainly a lot of that's on the officiating as well. There's plenty of blame to go around, but the case in point is simply this. Whenever the Washington Commanders or the football team or the Redskins or whatever they were called at that time has the opportunity to make the push, to make that next step, and to really claim their spot, they crumble. They've done this over and over again. Whether if we go back to the days that Kirk Cousins was here up until now, so it hasn't always been this coaching staff. This team has had some talent. This team has had talent on the field. It's had talent in the coaching staff as well. It's just been, for one reason or another, when it comes time to really show what they can do, they can't produce. Now let's look at Taylor Heinicke, for instance. I love the guy. I feel like he's the leader, but when it came down to it, he coughed the ball up twice. That sack fumble for a touchdown. Thibodeau, we couldn't stop him. I mean, he was basically the Giants' Chase Young last night. Man, wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody like Chase Young playing for us? That would be great. He was all over the field. All over the field! We did not have an answer for him. It shows you how important it is to have a top-notch center. Once again, we had an issue where the center called the wrong protection, and we had Charles Leno once again confused on who to block. The defender came free pop shot right to Taylor Heinicke, and it caused major problems. And then Taylor Heinicke later on, we're driving for a score, and then he coughs up the football. You can't do that. It was a critical point in the game. You cannot turn the football over, and Taylor Heinicke turned the football over. Now, I will say it was a good thing he didn't throw any interceptions. He has cut way back on interceptions, but you've got to hold on to the football as well. That's one thing I did notice in this game. Now, Brian Robinson was averaging over 7 yards per carry. I mean, Brian Robinson has been a beast, but we realized too, you got to score more than 20 points to win a game. So I could see where they were trying to pass deeper balls downfield, those 50-50 balls. Guess what? Jahan Dotson knows how to catch those 50-50 balls. He showed you that last night in the game against the Giants. Why have we not been getting Jahan Dotson involved more? We need to. Even though that the Giants' game plan against our running attack was to move Landon Collins up to stop the run we were still able to run the football, and we still should have kept running the football. But the problem is we fell behind too early in the game because we couldn't stop their running attack. Now, once again, that has been a problem. We couldn't stop their running attack. We made Daniel Jones look like Tom Brady. And Daniel Jones doesn't have anybody to throw the football to. We look at the Washington Commanders. Yes, they still have a playoff spot, but now you got to go to San Francisco on Christmas Eve. You've got to beat a red-hot San Francisco 49ers team. You're going to have to score a lot more points to beat them. Now, I don't think they can do it. And I think the Commanders are in really bad danger of falling completely out of the playoff hunt. Because right now you have the Detroit Lions who are red hot. And Detroit has the tiebreaker against the Commanders because guess what? Detroit beat the Commanders earlier in the season. But the Commanders, they are going to have to win. And some say, yes, they need to win at least 2 of the last 3 games. I'm telling you, they need to win all 3 of those games to secure a spot. I'm not looking at 2 of those 3 games. I'm looking at all 3 of those games because if they can't beat the 49ers, the Cleveland Browns, and the Dallas Cowboys, then what makes us think that getting into the playoffs is going to make them any more successful? So what do we do? Do we make a quarterback change? I know it's honestly, it's about 50-50 when it comes to the quarterback. You got the Carson Wentz fans on one side who are like, the Heineke High thinks that Taylor Heineke can do no wrong, so we can obviously see we can't score any points with Taylor Heineke, so let's just put Carson Wentz in there. Then the Heineke Hive is like, hey, Carson is a statue, so yeah, let's put Carson in there so he can get sacked 8 times per game and then, throw about 5 picks per game. And yeah, he's got a stronger arm, but what good does that do when he can't get the football out anyway? So now you're going to have a clash between fans. They're already mad because we let a very winnable game slip out of our hands. So now we're sitting at 7-6-1. It's depressing. It's very depressing because everything was set up just right for the Commanders. They had a bye week. They were well rested. They were getting some players healthy. They were playing at home. It was a primetime game. The Commanders seemed to play pretty well in prime time. The Giants were beat up from their Eagles game. And guess what? The Giants wanted it more, even though the officials definitely helped them out at the end of the game. Let's talk about the officiating. Yeah, let's talk about that, shall we? So the first beef I've got with the officiating, that one call on the 2-point conversion where they called Jahan Dotson with offensive pass interference on a pick play. Chris Collinsworth disagreed with the master officiator that was pass interference. It didn't look like pass interference to me either, honestly. It looked like a safe pick play. I didn't think it was pass interference. And obviously, if that was pass interference, the call at the end of the game on the defense should have been pass interference. Curtis Samuel was mugged and no flags thrown on that. And then, of course, the call against Terry McLaurin with the illegal procedure where he was supposedly not lined up on the line. But here's the thing, he was conversing with the official on the sideline saying, all right, I need to move up. Okay. Am I good? Am I good? Yeah. And McLaurin said after the game that the official said, yeah, you're good. Now, we have to take him at his word. I don't know. The official didn't say yes or no. I don't suppose that particular official was interviewed after the game. If he did, in fact, tell McLaurin that, yeah, he was good, he still reached in his pocket and he was going to throw that flag regardless. If you're telling the player that, yeah, you're good, and then you throw the flag, to me, that should be a fine on the official. And to me, that's dishonest. That's cheating. I think that official probably should be suspended. And I would say that if the roles were reversed and it was the Giants. You just don't do that. You don't tell a player Yeah, you're good. No, move up, move up. Okay, am I good? Yeah, you're good. Hike. No, you wasn't good. That's exactly what happened, at least according to Terry McLaurin. That was a play that the Commanders scored a touchdown on. So they scored a touchdown on that play. Officials brought that back. And then, of course, a couple of plays later, the mugging in the end zone that wasn't called, and the Commanders lose. Now, they would have had to have attempted a 2-point conversion to tie the game up. So it would have been iffy. Even if the Commanders scored the touchdown, that goes to show you that this is a problem when you have officials who change the outcome of games. It makes me wonder how close are they to becoming the WWE? Okay, you can ban my YouTube channel if you want. This is my opinion. I don't work for the NFL, so I have a right to my opinion. And in my opinion, I've seen it way too many times, not just with Washington Commander games, but I've seen it with other games over the years. The officiating has went downhill. I've seen more poor officiating than I've seen good officiating, and that is a problem. I really think the NFL needs to do something with officiating, because during this Roger Goodell era, the officiating has been horrible. In this day and age, they're trying to get so technical with calls, but at the same time, they're not consistent with it. If you're going to be technical, you also got to have some consistency with it, and you got to call it like you see it. And I'm sorry, but if that's pass interference in the first quarter, that's pass interference in the fourth quarter. You've got to call those calls. Hey, if my team is going to get beat, fine, but let them get handily and fairly beat. I'll say, you know what, my hat's off. They beat us. They beat us fair and square. But when it comes down to a controversy in which the officiating really changes the outcome of a game, and it happened in the last meeting between the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants, and it happened in this meeting as well. And yes, you can definitely argue the meeting between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. When it comes down to the officials determining an outcome of a game, that's a problem. That's an issue, and it needs to be changed. Yes, I'm fired up about this. What do you think? I mean, yeah, we're still in the playoffs if the season were to end today. But do you think with that showing that we had last night, do you think that we're a playoff team? Because we didn't show it on offense whatsoever. We did not. We did not show that we were fit. We did not show that we were fit to be a playoff team last night at all. And folks, I'm just going to tell it like it is. This team will not make the playoffs. If they lose against the 49ers next week, this team misses the playoffs. Does not matter if they beat the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys. They will miss the playoffs, because guarantee the Detroit Lions are red hot, and they are likely to win out. The way they are playing, they are likely to win out, and they will grab that last playoff spot. And in the end, do you really want to make the playoffs and be a one and done team like we seem like we've been the last several trips to the playoffs anyway? All right, enough of this. You let me know in the comment section what you think. I can already guess what you're going to think. You're probably about as ill about last night's game as I am, unless you're a Giants fan. You're jumping up and down for joy. And you're probably also going to say, what about this bad call that they didn't call on the Commanders for this or that? And I'm sorry, but you can't justify bad calls that went against the Commanders by another bad call. That's just reinforcing the fact that officials should not be determining the outcome of football games. And that's all I have to say about that. Hey, I'm still going to have my left hand up in the air, because guess what? Hell to the Washington Commanders anyway. Yeah, whatever. Hey, you stayed until the very end. Thank you so much. Watch another one right now.